highs, our lows, our biggest surprises, our disappointments. If you guys have any questions, make sure to drop them in the chat and we will happily answer your questions. What's up? You're back.
I'm back.
We're live. We have one person. Hi, Eva.
Hi, one person. We love one person. I still might hit some off, but hi, everybody out there.
That's fine. So how do you initial thoughts and feelings?
To me,
Night one.
Well, hold on.
Oh, sorry. We gotta wait for the cigar.
Yeah, it's becoming my signature look.
It really is the signature.
And if you can't tell, I have a shirt with cigars on it. My initial reaction, I loved it. Unfortunately, when you're a really bad team, all you have is the draft.
That is true. It's very, very true.
So
really don't have a ton to look forward to.
My first thought is I hope nobody's jumping off buildings, running around with Kyle Davidson dolls, burning them, hanging them, because,
It wasn't bad, and I'm not a Kyle Davidson supporter, and even I have to say, it wasn't bad. Guys, we're fine.
No, I like the draft. I understand people who wanted Ivan and didn't get him. We'll meet back in 5 years, and we'll see how that all plays out. There's the possibility that Ivan is a second line player, and Artie's a top pair defenseman. And I think everybody
or it could be in reverse, because honestly, we don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know a lot of things, and that's okay because they're 18. We're not supposed to know.
But yeah, I've got no problems with it. I liked all the picks. I loved the second pick in the draft. You loved the third pick in the first round. So,
sorry, we had to throw it up on the socials that we are live.
Well, good. Yes, because you've had to do all of this. There was almost a meltdown.
There were a lot of issues.
This is not an easy program to put together, and the Hockey Princess
when you do it by yourself with
has
little
no help. I am no help. This is it. What you see, what I do on screen, is all I do for the show.
I do everything.
You'll see a bunch of notes over here.
Yeah.
All you'll see is a lighter and a cigar from
me. That's because all of his stuff is in the brain.
It is in the brain, yes, because I just don't think about anything else.
All right, let's start from the top. Okay. We got Mac, obviously going to San Jose. Great addition for the Sharks. Still will he go back for another year? Will he not? We'll see. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Again, it's going to be an awful team. I think you'd like to go back to Boston for one more year.
Yeah.
But again, when you have the team executives and an owner sitting you down going, we'd like you to.
You got to go.
You're definitely thinking about it more. I mean, this is a team that probably throughout your career is going to give you about $150 million.
Right. And it's not one of those where, like, McGroarty right now is going to be, he'll be stuck in Manitoba. You're making NHL money. That sounds pretty nice for an 18-year-old.
Yeah, and aren't his folks in California?
They're in the Bay Area.
Like San Francisco?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're 45 minutes. I don't know.
It makes sense.
That seems like a slam dunk that he would go there, especially with Smith is going to be going there. So my money is he just said that.
People now.
Yes.
Krusty thought we were going to be talking to the void.
Oh, this is a good night. Okay, let's get back to it. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, he starts in San Jose.
Yeah.
Just makes sense.
Second, we got my guy. Guys, we've been talking about it forever, it feels like. Artie the Sparty, Artie the Party, whatever variation you want to use. He's coming to Chicago, friends. We've got potentially top 2 defensemen. I'm very excited. Again, rumors, rumblings. He could go back to Michigan State for a year. He could start in Rockford this year. Either way, I'm okay with it. The only thing that I have a big issue with is Kyle pushing him to make a start in Chicago next year. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm just saying that is the only thing that I personally have a big issue with. I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think it's a cause for concern if he goes to Michigan State for another year. And if that's the case, it might not even be Kyle's decision of, hey, we need you to go back to school for another year. He might really want to be like, hey, I want another year of college. And as we've talked about on the show, that's not the end of the world. I'm a supporter of, kids wanting to go back to school and that being an actual option, and not every time a kid decides he wants to go back for another year, it's the GM basically saying, we don't want you this year.
Yeah, well, according to that, the Twitter thingy, that Twitter thingy, Kyle says he's made his decision on what he would like. He plans to talk to Artie about it tomorrow. So that's what the Twitter thing said. And the Twitter thing is weird. Wanted to talk to you about this, but on camera is probably not the best time, but all you do is you like post stuff out, but then people follow you. And I don't know who these people are that follow me.
Yeah.
So I went and looked, and they had like other Hawks things, but then when I follow them back or whatever, it's like they take me to like dirty sites. You didn't warn me about that on the whole Twitter world.
I told you have a bunch of porn bots following you.
You said bots. I didn't know they were.
Yeah.
Okay, let's skip over all that. That's something crusty old guy has got to figure out in his life.
Yeah.
As I stated on your show last week, I think the best spot for him is Rockford. You get to have more eyes. Kyle is not pushing for him to be part of this squad next year.
No, I'm just saying if he goes to Michigan for another year, it shouldn't be a cause for concern that, Davidson doesn't think that he's ready. Artie could easily have gone to Kyle and be like, I'd like to have another year in school, and that shouldn't. It's like sometimes I think that's not everyone's first reaction with college players, that it has to be the team. As we saw with Landon, it could be an actual reason. These kids could actually want, there's a big difference in the college world between 1 year and 2 years. Because say Artie's done after his sophomore year, you at least have another year of schooling. So when you're 40 and you're not playing anymore, it's easier.
He's going to Michigan State. What's he going to learn? Come on.
Krusty doesn't like Michigan teams.
Well, we won't ever get into that. But no, I think the Landon thing and this thing are two completely different things. This is the guy that is a part of your whole term plan.
Yeah.
So what they do is they'll present to Artie what they think is best for his development. And I would assume Artie then goes, okay.
He's such a cool dude.
But he doesn't strike me as somebody who's going to a lot of classes to begin with. Come on, let's be honest. I don't think school's that high on his list of priorities. But I think I think by the end of prospect camp, you'll have an understanding of what he's going to do.
Mm-hmm. So we got Artie, and then we got some surprises. The first round, there wasn't a huge, piece after Artie where it's like, oh yes, this is typical. This is what we predicted. Anaheim did Anaheim's thing, which they've done the past couple of years, where they're not the team to go, okay, this is the next best guy. Let me take him. I've said it before. I'm a big fan of Pat Verbeek and the way that he thinks and the way that he drafts. Sometimes he goes a little off the board, not the conventional pick, but I'm a fan of his brain. So they went with Beckett Seneca, who, the reaction of that kid was just priceless.
What do you call those things? Memes?
Yeah, he's a meme.
So there'll be a meme.
He's already a meme. Kid's already a meme.
Of his, oh fuck, or whatever he said. Can we swear?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
We've been swearing on the show.
Yeah, but nobody's seen my face before. Or I guess they have if they went to the... Okay. Either way.
We do
his reaction...
every week.
Oh, that's right. But nobody watches.
Hey.
Okay.
You watch.
I don't watch. I listen again just 'cause I love my voice.
So that I think that definitely started, the wave of, things not going as predicted. Caden going top 5, we figured that. Demidov dropping to 5. I definitely had him in the top 5. Montreal was probably the latest that I expected him to go. There were definitely rumblings earlier today that, yes, he was going to slide down to Montreal. And if he was there by the time Montreal drafted, they were going to take him. So that wasn't completely surprising. I think what surprised me more was the defensemen then just start to slip off for quite a bit. Your Bouillon, your Parikh, your what's the other kid's name?
Your Dickinson?
Yeah. It definitely surprised me that they slid just a little bit. Not completely, because everyone in the draft really likes to draft the flashy forwards, especially in the first round. But it definitely surprised me that they slid, all 3 of them slid as much as they did.
Yeah, it was a little bit surprising, but not just hockey, but drafts in general, they all go through streaks. And this streak, all of a sudden, it started with a little bit bigger forwards. So then everybody wanted to grab that guy.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't many of them. So I think that's all that happened. You had originally in the top 10 more defensemen going. They ended up going in the back end of 10, so you're 11 through 15. Surprising, yeah, a little bit, but most teams are still looking for a top pair defenseman or a top 6 forward.
Mm-hmm.
So most teams can take either one. So
yeah.
At the end of the day, it wasn't. The other fun one was Aginlia.
Yeah.
He went. Where did he go?
Utah. He's Utah's first.
He went
pick.
to Utah. Hold on, I got to turn on the light again.
We're outside because crusty old guy likes to be outside.
Well, crusty old guy doesn't smoke cigars in the house,
That is true.
So let's just carry on. Someday we're gonna get a ring light. There's gonna be an intern behind the ring light.
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be freaking awesome.
Yeah, so that was definitely my biggest surprises, especially for the first half of round 1. Big fan of Minnesota for trading up 1 spot just to get Zeev Bouillon. I like the kid. I'm a big fan of Zeev Bouillon. I liked what he did during the playoffs for University of Denver, and I'm a firm believer that anyone I like, anyone that's good, should not have to be a Philadelphia Flyer.
Yeah.
So, Minnesota is a good hockey town. It's a good organization. I'm glad that Bouillon ended up there.
Well, I'm a big fan of Billy Guerin. I like the way he operates. I like the way he operated at the first prospect camp that we had, like at the end of the year that was here where they did the scrimmages. Yeah. He actually was in the stands. He's signing stuff for people. He's shaking people's hands. He's taking pictures.
Love it.
Yeah, you won't ever see Kyle doing that. Yeah, I was the Bouillon kid was the big surprise. Again, I think it just has to do with flash. The Yakimchuk going at 7 surprised me.
But also love the kid.
You love him. He frightens me. As I said, the game we went to, everything ran through him. Everybody wanted to give him the puck, and it was 50-50 if he did something good or bad with the puck. And that wasn't against the greatest team. I believe his skating isn't good enough to get away with it in the NHL. And if I'm going to pick a bust in the first 10, he's going to be my bust. So I am not sold on him. He does have a booming shot, though. So, but, so that was also different. Again,
I don't think he's a complete bust, but I certainly do think out of the top 10, he is going to take the longest to develop.
Yeah.
He is a project.
Well, I got to say bust so people go, ooh, ah, don't I?
Ooh.
Yeah, see? I see all the 2 people going.
All of our 2 fans.
Oh, stop it. So
yeah, those were the biggest surprises. Also, biggest surprise, Kyle including. What the hell? No one congratulating the Florida Panthers on winning the Stanley Cup. Guys, if this is the first draft that you watched, typically everybody, at least in the first round, their first time up to the podium for the draft, I'd like to thank insert city for having us, and congratulations to insert whatever team won. I don't know if just all of the NHL and all of Canada is mad because Tomo Ruutu is a Stanley Cup champion, but what the hell?
That seems like something like the league said, listen, this goes on too long. I can't have you guys rambling, which there wasn't a lot of rambling. Used to be there was a 1-minute dialogue about their team and then another 1-minute dialogue about the person who was going to make the pick. And then a 1 minute of
I don't know. I
City.
think you can cut down however many minutes the GMs have to make the pick.
I found it weird. Also, I don't know why it was done. That's why I just think maybe the league said something.
Maybe we'll never know.
So, how do you want to do? Do you want to just like pick and choose stuff, or
yeah?
Okay. Well, what else are you picking and choosing?
We left off with Yakimchuk. In terms of surprises, likes.
Yes. And I mean, the guy who went to the Kraken, Canton, darn good player.
Yeah.
So, we do a little less research on some of these guys because we knew you weren't going to take them.
There's no way that Kyle's.
And we weren't getting them at 18. Canton's one of them. The Flames took the, next. Who is that guy? Erik Karlsson? The next Erik Karlsson?
Mm-hmm.
Or they took the next Adam Boqvist. Wait 5 years and we'll find out. Again, he slid a little bit. Dynamic offensive defenseman, but, I've told everybody a million times, I expect my defenseman to play defense.
And Artie can.
And, I want my forwards to play offense. I don't know. Can you show me all of Erik Karlsson's cups? Does he have a ring? Closest he ever got is when he was in, a left wing lock situation where it was geared towards his skill, and the forwards were expected to play a ton of D.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only time he's come close to winning a cup. It worries me that you draft somebody this high and you're going to be scared to put him out in a tie game. You're going to be scared to be putting him when you're up by a goal. So, again, he's probably a great kid. I hope he gets better defensively and isn't, a problem. But, you'll find out with Calgary. I'm sure they were already upset because their boy was gone.
Well, their boy was going to be gone.
I don't know. It's just he was the one thing, but God, did he skyrocket up the charts?
Yeah.
He had that great tourney, and they just. So now we go to the doubles, the first of my many calls in the evening when I called correctly.
Big Russian, which makes sense.
When you're a good team and you've got your pipeline halfway stocked, this is the way you go about business. What the New Jersey Devils did. You get a very good defenseman that you're not even thinking about coming in for about 3 years.
Which that's fine because they've got a couple of defensive prospects that had their first to second year, but they've also got quite a few in the pipeline.
Yes.
Seamus Casey being one of them, that from my insider source, they expect him to make the jump, if not this upcoming year, then the following.
Where was this insider source?
In Ann Arbor. The New Jersey Devils scout that I ran into, because our scouts ran away from me when they saw me.
Well, you might as well tell them the little story, or if not, I can tell them that, you were at, Ann Arbor.
I was in Ann Arbor seeing Frank Nazar versus Oliver Moore on the dot. am not a University of Michigan fan, nor am I a University of Minnesota fan. I was there to watch draft picks, so I didn't really have any gear to wear. And my gear that I wear when I'm neutral is my Tomarutu jersey, because it really just confuses everyone.
Sure does.
And so I was in the back with the rest of the scouts, had already spotted a couple of Hawk scouts that promptly turned away. And the New Jersey scout made a comment about the Rutu jersey. And so we were talking about prospects. He asked who I was here to see. Then he said there's a defenseman that they're very keen on that should be coming up, that they expect to come up in the next 2 years. You look on who was on the roster at that point, and it's Seamus.
Yeah. And again, another problem I have with the whole Hawks organization still, you shouldn't be running around from anybody, away from anybody on your fan base. You talk to them for a tiny bit. It doesn't hurt anything. Trust me, Brian Campbell could have figured out how to scout, without. But hey, whatever, you want to build that wall between your fan base, you go right ahead.
Yeah, it's fine. Another big one that I really liked was Buffalo's pick, the Consta Helenas.
Yes.
Very solid pick. Fits nicely for the Buffalo Sabres organization. They talked a little bit on how Buffalo has a new head coach. They're looking to bring in just a different culture, a different direction to the Sabres, which I think Buffalo desperately needs. Not that their culture was necessarily bad. I just didn't think that they really had any. They've been out of the playoffs consistently for most of my life. And they've got a lot of young talent, but just no direction. So they talked about how, they're bringing in new people to kind of form the direction in a certain way. And I think the Helenas kid fits nicely with what Buffalo has and where they're looking to go.
Yeah, I like him. Any of those players you get from Finland knows how to play the game. Is not going to be
love Finland.
Is not going to be playing in just one zone. They know how to play in all three zones really well. Exactly what Buffalo's problem is, I don't know. We go through this dance the same way we go through the dance with the Maple Leafs, winning the cup every year. Buffalo's in, they're there, they're knocking on the door, they're playoff bound, and they wet the bed.
Yeah.
And they recycle people. Ryan O'Reilly couldn't get it done. Jack Eichel couldn't. I don't know why. It blows me away. I don't think recycling Lindy Ruff helps either, but again, no, I really liked the pick.
Yeah.
So I didn't mind Philly's pick either, just because, anytime you get a player named Jet.
Yeah.
Come on, he's got to be fast, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yes. No, he's another good centerman, just not huge, 5'11". Yeah. Really good at the faceoff dot. Again, somebody I wasn't even thinking of because
there were a lot of reaches, or at least thought of them as reaches this first round, and a lot of kids that I thought were going to be middle to the round either fell off the first round completely or were very much at the tail end.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the way. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to continue to do this. I need to get an electrician out here.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So it was a solid pick. You got your Jiricek kid next.
Yes. St. Louis, who can't get rid of any defensemen because they all have no movement clauses. They're going to continue to trade each one of them, but their players are going to say no, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
He was the one interesting one. Where is he going to fall?
Because he could have fallen really anywhere.
Right. Before injury, you were looking at a top 12 player.
Yeah.
And then after injury, nobody's sure. You don't know exactly how you're going to come out of that.
Yeah.
So I think a solid pick by St. Louis. That's a stay-at-home defenseman who gets the game and who is going to do fine.
Yeah.
In an either 3 or 4 role, hopefully.
Yeah.
So again, safe, solid pick.
Yeah.
And then we go with the Capitals,
which I know we're gonna have to talk about that pick a little bit with one of our viewers.
Yeah, well, that and also, I mean, I think we both consider that was the first reach, right?
Yeah.
So,
I know some people are sad that the Dynamo Russian who fell out of the first round completely. But I know we had a couple of questions on why we thought uh he fell out of the first round. To my understanding, there wasn't as big of a guarantee of when he comes over compared to Demidov and Michkov last year. I definitely think he will come over, but I don't know if there's necessarily like a ballpark of when. So I think that's one thing that he doesn't have going for him. But let's talk about the Caps guy that they did pick,
uh huh.
Tarek Parasak. Sure.
Parasak, there's no comment I could make on that.
No.
No.
Right winger from Prince George in the WHL. Talk to me about Tarek.
Okay, I'm gonna let at least prospects talk for us. They have a little thing called the elevator pitch, which means the quick little burst of stuff. High end, quick possession player capable of both setting up plays and finishing them. But play driving and skating must improve to support game in the next level, which means he needs some work. But again, he put up 105 points. He was a point and a half guy in the W, which, W, I think, at times doesn't have the greatest defense, so I think people put up more points. But
But
105
neither
points,
does the Q. I really think the
yes,
only
yes,
you don't really scour the CHL for defensemen, and if you do, it's rare.
it's the OHL usually.
Yeah.
Um, but again, 105 points is 105 points. So, basically, what they say here is, with that kind of point process, you're already looking at probably top 10. Again, it's skating, it's his physicality, things that he could work on. He's not a tiny guy, but he's
No.
5'11". He's only 180, so that means he'll top out at probably 190, which is doable, especially for a right wing.
Yeah. I think yes, the skating does need work, but with the farm system that the Caps have in place in Hershey, not only with their people in Hershey, but also just hockey players that are contracted to the Hershey Bears, and the amount of veteran mentorship and everything that is over in Hershey, I think he's fine.
Yeah. Again, I think a little bit of a reach, but again, it's going to be he should be a solid middle six player.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I don't think the Caps were looking for a complete slam dunk. Like I think they used this year to have a bit of a reach. You got Ryan Leonard last year. You weren't in the position draft number wise to pick another Ryan Leonard per se in terms of numbers in the draft. So why not go for a reach?
Yeah. It worked out well for us.
Yeah.
Because then we were able to get one of my guys.
All right. I'm gonna bring out the notebook. Shout out to Mario Tirabassi for giving us the pronunciations. Sasha Boisvert.
Boisvert.
Yes.
Boisvert is everywhere.
Who looks up to Yevgeny Malkin. I cannot wait, which means he'll play with Connor. We'll get the Crosby Malkin thing. Fantastic. And I'll have gotten Artie.
Yeah, and I'll just call him Sasha. I don't know if he gets a nickname or not. I talked about him on one of our other shows. I really like the kid. He's a crusty old guy kind of player.
Yeah.
He's got a little bit of a mean streak. He can play really good defense, but he has the ability to be a very good offensive player.
Yeah.
Dad was a boxer. Dad owns a boxing gym.
Got some grit.
You guys will, I'm sure, hear millions of stories how boxing enhanced his life. Boxing this, boxing that. He had 5 fights in the U. He's your complete player. He'll be able to, on the Hawks, probably be a second line center. He'll have to get a little bit better at the dot. But with that, he has the ability to go in and do all the dirty work.
Yeah.
For an Oliver Moore, for a Frank Nazar. So
you see him second line.
I see him second line. I don't think you're skilled enough. I don't know what happens with Connor. I don't know how they exactly play that again, as I've mentioned 4 times or a lot of times about what Luke has stated at the end of last year when he finally got the question asked, is Connor a center? I think that'll be determined by what else the Blackhawks have.
Yeah.
And if they have a top line centerman that they find, then he's going to move to the wing.
Yeah.
And if not, they better find a top line forward to play with him.
Yeah.
I don't believe that's Sasha.
Yeah.
I could see that being Oliver Moore on one side, and then I need another big horse on the other wing if he's going to play center.
Could you see more center, Bedard wing, and that's where you get, and I know we've been talking about this, everyone talks about this where you get your, a bit down the road, your veteran piece.
Could be. Yeah, everybody likes to use the Hossa thing, but we ain't seeing another deal like that ever again.
No, but
that was a once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
But that, yes.
That sort of thing where it's like you have other pieces in the mix and you're looking for your end pieces. Because I definitely saw Hossa as the end of the rebuild.
Yes.
The first time.
Oh,
and so I understand that we're not getting that type of contract again, but that sort of thing where it's the veteran piece that you put at the end once you have a better understanding of, okay, this is what NASCAR can potentially do. We've seen him enough. This is what Moore can potentially do. We've seen enough to make a better assumption. And same with Connor.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, it's very possible. I mean, if you decide you're gonna have Moore and Connor on the top line, you need a weak worker bee. You also need what Hossa was unbelievable at is a possession keeper. Meaning somebody, when they're cycling, he just holds on to the puck. If it's only one guy going after him, the one guy isn't getting the puck. Able to do a little cycle time down there just on his own game. Yes, that's kind of the piece that they'll be missing.
Okay.
We've got time to fill that though.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm not expecting that's coming anytime soon. And for those who don't know, Sasha Boisvert was drafted from the Muskegon Lumberjacks of the USHL, is expected to play at University of North Dakota next year.
Yes, the not really good ND.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
6'2", projected. And I asked Krusty this earlier, just because he wasn't one of my guys. I like him, but
he's one of my guys.
Yeah. And you said he is labeled as a center, and you're figuring that there's a heavy there's a big likeliness that he stays center.
Yes, I think he can play center. He'll need to get a little bit better at the dot, but he's got the size.
So does every 17-year-old.
Again, he is not. If he is your second line center, he is not going to be your most skilled offensive player on that second line.
Right.
He is going to be, for lack of a better term, your Zeus, your bigger centerman who's going to do the dirty work and make sure we don't get killed defensively as everybody else goes and gets their points.
Right.
But yes, I definitely think he could be a center. He's again going to need to learn. I would assume 2 years at North Dakota, and then we'll see. He's definitely not somebody who's going 1 year and coming up.
No,
I think,
and I don't think I would have expected anyone that we took at 18 to be that.
No,
because we have the time. If you're new, we say it every week. We have all of the time.
Yeah, and according to Elite Prospects, again, who I use a lot, he's like their number 5 power forward, which we're lacking a power forward.
Yeah.
He's a hammer type of player.
Yeah.
He's a sniper. He's got vision, and I like him. And I can just call him Sasha.
Yeah.
Now let's go on to. We're not going to really make a lot of comments about this guy. You just want to say he went to Vegas and move on.
Trevor Connolly goes to Vegas. Another big drop that we saw in the first round is Cole Iserman, who a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away was projected to be the number 2. Ended up going to the New York Islanders. I do think that Cole Iserman going to the Islanders is a great pick for them. They need someone who can put the puck in the net.
Yeah, they do. And I see Iserman spending 1 year at Boston and then going to the Islanders. You still have a very veteran-laden group there. And if this kid is figuring he's not going to work defensively, there's Andres Lee and a couple other players that'll figure that kid right out.
Yeah.
And will explain to him exactly how this is done in the NHL.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great spot for him.
Yeah, it was definitely one. The more that he was slipping, well, one, I was just really hoping that we didn't take him. Not that I don't like the kid, I just don't think that he was the guy for Chicago. The more he was slipping, the more I was like, oh, but I don't know if he fits there. I don't know. And then the Islanders came up, and I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that definitely fits. And you made the comment after I think one of the gals on the broadcast made the comment is, at that development team,
he doesn't have to play defense.
There's not a lot of them
that's not their game. They are very forward heavy. Even the defensemen, you see that with Emery and his performance and the comments made about Emery. He's a fantastic right-handed defenseman, but his defense needs work. That's the thing that you're going to get about every USNTDP player. They're incredible offensively, but defensively they need work. That's just not what they do there.
Yeah, and they're more of a highlight team, and I don't think they're geared towards, I don't know what they're playing. They don't play for, they're not in a league. They're not playing for a championship. So,
I mean, your U18 or not U18. I mean, your older group, you're playing college.
Right.
And your U17, you're playing USHL kids. You're not exclusively in their leagues, but those are the teams that you play. Like the U17 plays the Steel.
Right. I understand that, and maybe I can pose this question to other people and get a better answer. So, with my thought process on what you said about the whole, the defenses and all there, it's more of a show thing because as a team, you're not playing for your best record. You're not in a best of 7 series with anybody. You're not game planning to become first in your division and everything, I think. And then
your game plan is to outscore your opponent.
Your game plan
and that's essentially it.
Is to put on a show.
Unless you're on a national level.
Right. Unless you're on, in World Juniors, then everything goes a little differently. So I think, like you said, and like that commenter said, that it might be something that's overblown with him.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping so. And again, as I said, if the kid goes to camp this year and he sloughs it for 2 shifts, trust me, Andres Lee is gonna fucking light him up. He ain't gonna tolerate that shit. He'll find out real quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee he'll be like, oh, fuck, I got to do the work. And he's going to go to college where he's going to be told to do the goddamn work too. So
yeah, because Boston doesn't mess around.
I would assume if you're really looking at it, he might be one of the steals of the draft, as they're saying. I think he fell enough and into the right organization. He's going to the right college. So
yeah.
Think
then we got my guy.
Your guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
My guy. So guys, we went in having 2 picks, and then Kyle turned it into 3. We have a late start tomorrow because now we don't have a 50 or 67, a 34 or a 50 pick. We start at 67 tomorrow. And Kyle Davidson takes the 27th pick from the Carolina Hurricanes and drafts Merrick Banneker from the Brantford Bulldogs. Guys, I like him. He was definitely one of my guys to look out for. Didn't think that we were going to take him. just because ranking-wise, I don't think he necessarily matched up to the picks that we had. Definitely a super big reach for 18, and I don't know if he would have been there for 34. He was kind of just in that in-between. 6-foot winger, teammate for Nick Lardis.
Who? You mean Lardass.
Lardass.
Lardass. He will be known as Lardass.
So funny. So it definitely makes sense that Kyle had his eye on him, with the amount of Hawk scouts that were probably out in Brantford watching Lardis, especially when he came back from injury. This kid likes to put the puck in the net, and I'm just so excited. Definitely been compared to Brandon Saad. He is definitely a winger that will stay a winger. Defense needs a bit of work, but as I say on a weekly basis when we've been talking about the draft, it's every 17-year-old. That is just a thing. Everybody's got to bulk up. Everybody's got to work a little bit on physicality, unless you're like 6'5" and aggressive, like Basha, who dropped out of the first round. That's just a thing that I feel like most forwards have that comment. I don't think. Yeah, I think he's a little bit of a reach for 27, but I'm okay with it. I'm happy with it because I didn't think we were going to get him.
No, and I liked Kyle's thinking of moving up and getting the guys you wanted. There was a lot of talk in this draft about quality over quantity.
Yeah.
We've taken a lot of quantity. We needed to go more quality. Granted, he just had soldier surgery. I don't think he comes back until like November.
But that's okay.
But that's fine. The other big thing you read up on him is he can play with top end talent.
He is a top 6 forward, guys. We finally drafted one.
As we talk about who are you going to get to play with Bernard, it takes a special guy. He's willing to do the dirty work in the offensive zone. Defensive zone, not yet. But the offensive zone, he'll battle for you on the corners, against the boards and everything, and get the pucks. Good puck retrieval skills and good passing skills. So his job, go get puck, give it to that 98 guy, and see what he does. You find a nice open spot.
Yeah.
And then you bury it.
And, I mean, I told you this before we started filming. Yes, one of the biggest notes is that Vaneker's defense needs work. But here's the thing that I'm not entirely mad about. You draft Artie, a defenseman who does not play a flashy defensive game. He is a defensive defenseman.
Not really.
In my opinion.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Okay.
Leave Artie alone.
I'm saying
your guy didn't get picked too. My guy did.
No, I'm saying he's an offensive defenseman. He ended up the second half of the season playing more defensive style. I think that was on purpose through his coach. But trust me, he will shock. He's going to be a very good offensive defenseman also.
But he can do both.
Yes.
He can do both. So you have a defenseman who has the ability to be a defensive defenseman.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
You have a forward that already has quite a bit of size. Will have even more when he fills out, because he's only 17. That isn't afraid to be gritty and fight a little bit and has a little bit of the nastiness. It's not the end of the world to draft a forward who in the first round whose weakness is defense.
No,
especially with drafting Artie and Sasha.
And again, as you pointed out, you learn as you go through the NHL that you have to play 200 feet or else you don't survive. And your team definitely doesn't survive. The kids pick up on it. They figure it out for the most part.
Yeah.
There are still some that we watch flake all over the ice and just shake our head. But it doesn't happen a lot. They all usually figure it out. So I am sure he will figure it out. Again, it takes a special player to play with special talent, too. The other guy I wanted to talk about, because I got somebody on the boards that mentioned it, and you've got a friend who's a big Canadiens fan.
Yeah.
That will be tied from now on as far as this draft, us and the Canadiens. because you've got Ivan, who's drafted by the Canadiens.
Yeah.
And you have Michael Haig that we've all talked about, the Hawks freeze. Oh, we're back.
We're back.
So in 5 years, this draft between those two clubs will be tied. There's somebody who lives in Montreal who's a Hawks fan, and he's like, if this goes bad, I'm going to have to hear about it for a while. So those two squads are going to be tied together a little bit.
Yeah.
Because Haig might, as much as
Can we talk
him,
about, I know you really didn't care about it, but the story of Michael Haig getting drafted by the Montreal Canadiens, for those who don't know, his father did pass semi-recently. His parents were Montreal Canadian fans. He grew up a Montreal Canadian fan, and now he's drafted by the Montreal Canadiens. I love it for him. I also think it fits nicely for him. Montreal's got a ton of younger pieces coming up. With Haig going to Michigan, I think it gives him the flexibility where, he could do 2 years in Michigan and there's not a, oh my God, nervousness about him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think they have to be ready. I mean, Montreal's starting to become slightly stacked. Defensively, that might be a little bit of a different story, but we'll see.
I got faith in Reinbacher when it comes over.
Oh. Well, you can mention Reinbacher, but that poor kid. I mean, he got a real good vote of confidence from his general manager who came out and said before this year's draft, well, we just weren't sure if the other guy was going to come over here. So we drafted this guy. As a GM, shut up and don't do that.
Yeah.
You don't talk that way.
No.
That's just dumb. I mean, now you got Reinbacher going, oh, you didn't want me? Oh, that's a warm fuzzy. The stupidity level of some people is quite astonishing. I understand that you're constantly asked questions, but hey, that's just me. Yeah. Where else are we at? We can go to you want to go to your Anaheim Ducks?
Yeah. Anaheim pops up again at the end of the first round and ends
23.
Up 23. Oh, and ends up taking the Solberg kid from Norway, who likes to be called Stan, as I learned from the Twitter thing. It's interesting for Anaheim. Maybe they just expect him to not come over for quite a bit. But Anaheim's pretty stacked on defensemen. Kind of one of the main reasons why they traded away Jamie Drysdale. And because they needed to move Jamie Drysdale. But they're pretty stacked on defensemen, so it definitely surprised me. I thought if they were to pop up at the end of the first round that they would go double forward. But what do I know?
Yeah, and
but it's not a bad pick by Anaheim.
No,
by any means. He's a great hockey player. I think it just surprised me.
He was the end of that second tier defenseman.
Yeah.
And then your third tier was your Elric, your Emery, and stuff like that. What really surprised me is I don't understand Toronto trading.
Well, I don't really ever understand
back that
Toronto
much. You still had some really good players.
You can't close a deal on Marner. I really don't understand Toronto to begin with. As an organization.
I didn't understand the reason for the trading back by them. I really think you traded back to, I believe it was like 30 something, and you're off to another tier of players. So and no, I was also wanted to go over the Nashville pick, who was the Surin kid from Russia.
Who, when I believe his first sentence in the interview was, "I like to hit big." So I think this is a great pick for Nashville. A little bit of a reach, just a slight bit, but not a ton. And I think he fits into the Nashville mentality.
Yes,
and
he
the
definitely.
Style that they play.
But that I thought was a definite reach, but could be a very good player down the line, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So, and then we've got the next is the Utah Hockey Club again, who traded up, and I can't find out exactly how they got theirs, but that was for the Cole, however you say it, Buldum kid who
Oh, done.
I would have really liked us to have gone up to there and gotten him instead of it's raining.
It is raining.
Oh my God, it's raining out here. We are now in some problems. We are unsure what we're going to do.
We're just going to scooch. It's fine.
We're going to scooch, and it's fine.
It's fine. We're just going to go through the tail end of round one.
Hold on. We're ready for this. We have an umbrella up.
Guys, this is whack.
It's okay. I'm sorry. The only reason we're out here is so I can have a cigar. So what happened?
Danford is we have a comment.
What?
Danford is a solid right-handed defense, different type than Solberg, not as much physical, but safe defensive puck movement.
All right.
I mean, solid for, I'm a fan.
Thank you. Oh, I might want to take a picture of this. Somebody made a comment, and my dog's barking.
It's okay.
Thank you. Is it Vendetta? He's got a Vendetta. All right. Thank you. Who else are we talking about? We got freaked out by the rain.
Yeah.
But the Cole kid, I really liked. Would have liked to see them move up and get him, but they didn't.
Yeah.
And then we go to the big pick that you liked. The big wingspan kid from St. Mary's, I think it was. Or St. Andrews.
Yeah.
So,
I think he fits for Boston.
Who's, definitely a big Boston fit. It's going to be 3 years, but they have the time. That's how you restock. You're already a playoff team. You restock by loading up these kind of kids.
Yeah.
No different than New Jersey loading up with a big defenseman. So, all right, now it's really raining. All right, where are we at? I got